What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some more Dragon Ball Fighters for y'all. So this video is actually from somebody in the comments on the match analysis I did from Goichi vs Fenrich, where they mentioned, why do you keep talking about tag and how important tag is to the game? So today I actually want to talk about subtle ways you can lose the game in Dragon Ball without even realizing it. If you like the content I'm putting out, please consider liking this video or subscribing to the channel if you already have not, or do both. It does help the channel grow and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So obviously, if you look big picture at Dragon Ball FighterZ or any fighting game, and some people actually use this as a meme answer of how do you win in fighting games, the answer is you hit your opponent until they die. You make their life bar turn red and you empty it, you do it 3 times, you win the game. In this game you have 3 characters, so you don't have rounds, it's just about the characters, so you can think of each character as a point. When you kill 3 characters, you have won the game. That being said though, you have to think about what led you to the point where you lose characters. So generally when you're facing someone who's like a lot stronger than you, the main thing is it's kind of clear when you go back, like they're better at playing the neutral game than you, which means they are hard to hit and they are good at getting in on you. You got hit by mix-ups. They have good 50-50s and ways of covering a lot of options and you're not prepared. Now that's well and good, but there are a couple of things in the game that can lead you to losing and can make the game much harder for you if you let your opponent do these things. And both of these things happen pretty often in matches. At higher level, these things affect the rest of the game, so it's something really to pay attention to. So here's the question: can someone please explain to me why switching characters is so pivotal like LordKnight says? Is it just because of blue life regen and general character versus character matchup, or is it something more? So let's address it. We have to actually step back and look at what the game is supposed to be if you play it well. So the game is basically designed to be a 2-touch game, aka you need to hit your opponent a total of 6 times to win the game at least, right? Or on average, I should say, not at least. Now, the thing about tag is that it's a swap, and of course, you want to swap your characters to preserve the life and get things like blue life back, but the tags are not punishable. I'm pretty sure in basically every versus game except for this one. Of course, there's probably techniques, there's usually techniques that you could use to make the swap safe, but in Dragon Ball, if you block that swap, it's a super dash, so you need to hit the tag. Each successful tag that your opponent gets that doesn't go punished is an extra hit you need to add to your opponent. So if your opponent tags multiple times in the game, that game gets much harder than you, harder for you. You might have noticed if you watch my ranked matches at all, when let's say it's like my first game playing against somebody and they tag like over and over again, I go, wow, this person is really tagging. I'll mention this is going to be a long game now. This was with the thought in mind that I have to hit them many extra times because I keep letting them get away with tags. So on top of that too, there's basically 3 main ways your opponent is going to tag in general. They're either going to just do it straight up raw, they're going to combo into it like this, or they will DHC. So this is they're comboing super into super. These are the basic main ways of doing it. That everybody can do. There are special exceptions where there are characters who can do block strings in the tag, like Yamcha can do it, Kid Buu can do it, but those are pretty uncommon. Now, of course, at lower levels, like I said before, it's not going to matter that much. You both are going to be tagging, but at high levels, one tag can change the scope of the entire set. This thing matters a lot, and it would turn like a 2-touch on a character into like a 3 or 4 or even 5-touch if your opponent keeps on doing it. Now, the next one will be about sparking. So again, it's something you can both do, and we usually talk about defensive sparking, which is protecting your team. Now in this game you can use your sparking offensively and defensively. So offensively would be doing like a combo into spark basically to kill the character. Many of you are familiar with a pretty good friend to the scene, Todd, which is, you know, this spark kill character. But there are even strategies where, let's say a character has, we will set Vegeta to about 80. Let's put him at 75% life. I have 2 bars. I get this type of hit. I spark. Why? Because I can get more meter. Then I can use this meter to cash out, and I'm doing 20% more damage the whole time, so it can give me a lead. So going back to what we said at the beginning of the video earlier on, you can use sparking to basically protect the character, so protect your point, or to take a character from your opponent. That is the goal. So then you want to really pay attention to what happens to you when your opponent sparks. When your opponent sparks, do they consistently take a character away from you? Or do you manage to run away and live, or even attack and kill them? Especially since most people use defensive sparks. The majority, again, and I would say as far as like 90% of players, they only know how to use sparks defensively, and their main use for offensive sparks are touch of deaths. Whether or not they're practical obviously varies by the player. So assuming that everyone is going to be doing a defensive spark, their goal is to protect their character and kill your character with the one spark. So if they're consistently killing your character with their defensive spark, it's a pretty big deal, and it makes the rest of the game harder, of course, because now for the rest of the game, you have 2 characters and they have 3, or you have 1 character and they have more than you. This also goes to what happens when you spark. So offensive sparking, of course, the intent is to kill. So since it's like a combo, so either like a touch of death, this type of thing where they have like 75-80% life, you're just trying to build bard, do extra meter, or happy birthday, it's just a combo. Like as long as you could hit the combo, they're going to die. So that's not worth thinking about too much. But what happens when you use your defensive spark against your opponent? Do they survive your defensive sparking really often and put you in a bad situation again, or do you consistently kill them? Keep this in mind because it does affect the rest of the game. And it gets to the point where sometimes watching tournament sets, I don't even think the game actually starts until someone uses a defensive spark. Now, as a last point, let's think about something that actually doesn't matter that much in this game because of how the game works. And actually, it's who gets the first hit. And it's because of these 2 things we talked about before, tagging and sparking. The person who gets the first hit has an advantage, especially if they have a 2-touch situation. But between sparking and tag, it's not so much of a big deal. And you can get out of that situation, plus all the various defensive mechanics you have when you get hit, like how you can tag, reflect. We've talked about this over and over on the channel. So the most important thing is actually, and it took me a pretty long time to realize this, it's not who gets the first hit, it's who takes the first character is the most important thing, probably to determine the rest of the pace of the match. It doesn't decide the match, but it does give you a huge advantage. Okay, hopefully that made sense. And as I upload some more match analysis, we're going to try to do some fun sauced match analysis on the weekends on my stream at twitch.tv/LordKnight. You will understand why when someone tags, I'm like, oh god, he actually got that off, now this is harder, or this is going to take longer, or I don't think he can come back from this. So for example, let's say we have this type of match going on. Let's just pretend there's no sparking just cause. So it looks kind of close, right? Vegeta has like 75% health, Broly's dying, but on the player 1 side, Trunks is a hit away from dying and Vegeta is a hit away from dying, but a successful tag likely ends the game. You have to hit Broly at least twice, and he has more assists than you, so he has stronger neutral than you. He has more opportunities on offense, and he can extend combos better. And there's a threat that Vegeta can die in 1 touch, depending on how Broly hits you. So try to pay attention more to not just your matches, but also tournament matches, to the opponent's tags and what happens when sparking is introduced to the game, and maybe you look at the game a little bit differently. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.